Now, the green paper and all the paperwork has been filed over time, the last 20 years almost. Since the reopening, I want to go to the reopening where we are now. Since the reopening of land claims, how many people have benefited, and how has the process proceeded in your view?
Thank you very much for the question. Remember, you've already said that there was a first lodgement opportunity, and now we've got a second window, which the President assigned the Restitution Amendment Act in 2014, June 2014, and opened the window for a period of 5 years. We have to date received 119,000 claims that have been lodged. And remember, in order for us to be able to get to a point where we actually give restoration or alternative redress or financial compensation, we still have to do the research. So at this point in time, we're just receiving the claims. So to date, we've received 119 new claims. Also remember that while we're receiving the new claims, we're still processing the old claims.
Yeah.
We had about 7,000 plus outstanding claims that we're still dealing with. And so until we finish those, we will then, as soon as that's done, move into the new claims process. But for now, officially, we're just receiving new claims. We're going around the country. We've got 6 mobile offices that allow us to go into deep rural communities to actually receive the claims, so that the communities don't have to come to us necessarily. We actually go to them, especially because, as you have already mentioned, the problem in the past was that people were not aware, or the old people, especially in the deep rural areas, couldn't get access to our offices. So we go to them now.
You mentioned a vast number, 119,000. Tell us about some of the difficulties that you've encountered in recent times in dealing with the land claims.
I think the restitution process in itself is a complex process because you're talking about dispossession that happened quite a long time ago. And so you have to actually do proper research to verify the veracity of the information that you're given, and also just to make sure that the people that you are ultimately going to restore back to their land are the rightful beneficiaries. Sometimes you've got competing rights. The claims on the land is on land that is communal, sometimes unregistered, unsurveyed. So there's a lot of work before you can get to a point where you actually say that the claim has been finalized. Secondly, you've got people that who claimed then, who now we have a difficulty finding. And thirdly, we've got communities that then fight over whether they want restoration, or even when they do get restoration, about what they want to do. And so we've got a various myriad of issues that really become barriers to the work that we do.
I want to take you to some of the high-profile cases now. It's reported that the Zulu monarch is claiming almost the entire KwaZulu-Natal, parts of the Free State, and even parts of Mpumalanga in his submission. How far is this submission, and how do you view this submission?
It's actually quite interesting because we haven't received a claim from the king yet.
Okay.
So we will receive his claim just like any other claim, and it will be researched and determination will be made on the whether the claim is valid or not. And remember, the basis of claiming in the Restitution Act is the 1913 cut-off date. And so you would have to meet those requirements for you to have a valid claim.
The other one that's always in the papers is the Khoi and San communities. They are always said to have suffered long before the passing even of the laws in 1913. How are you catering for them in this new process?
Number one, it's important to note that the Khoi and San have not been excluded from the restitution process. So any member of the community who was dispossessed after 1913 is receiving restitution, anyone who's lodged a claim. So we've got claims from the Khoi and San that are post-1913 that are being processed or have already been processed, for example, the Richtersveld matter. But over and above that, in 2013, the President actually said that we should look at exceptions. And these exceptions talk to the descendants of the Khoi and the San, to heritage sites and historic landmarks. And that is going to be a dispensation that is separate from the restitution process because it's about land redistribution. So we're going to do research specifically to cater for those exceptions for the people who were dispossessed before 1913, specifically the Khoisan, identifying historic landmarks. For example, you'll have sites where kings fell or where there were wars of dispossession and the likes that should be marked as part of us redressing or really acknowledging the heritage of the people of the country. Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting process. In conclusion, I want to ask you that the date is set the 30th of June 2019. You'll be done with all land claims and everyone will be happy after that day. Is that what you're thinking?
No. 2019 is the last day. June 2019 is the last day you can actually lodge your claim. So it's important for people to actually go onto our website, go visit the buses that go around the communities and understand that it's a process of actually coming to say, I have a claim. Beyond 2019, we'll still be processing claims. We'll still be verifying the information that has been received and we'll still be giving land back to beneficiaries, alternative redress or alternative land.
It's going to be a very long process, I'm sure of that.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us today. The Chief Land Claims Commissioner, Nomfundo Ntloko-Gobodo, joined us this morning to talk about where the process is, what are some of the sensitivities of some of the interesting cases. And I can tell you next week we'll bring in other stakeholders and we'll continue the conversation around land claims in South Africa.